Jesus said if people stay quiet, the stones will cry out. Well, guess what? All across Africa and the Middle East, the stones are screaming at the top of their lungs, confirming everything Genesis 10 says about Ham's descendants. Every year, archaeologists dig up more evidence that makes Bible skeptics really uncomfortable. Turns out, those mythological genealogies in Genesis are more historically accurate than most ancient history books. Let me show you what's been hiding under the sand. Let's start with the big one. Egypt. The Merneptah Stele, discovered in 1896, contains the earliest mention of Israel outside the Bible. Dated to 1208 BC, it says, "Israel is laid waste. His seed is no more." Now, that's Egyptian propaganda. Israel obviously survived, but it proves Israel existed as a distinct people exactly when the Bible says. The Ible papyrus describes plagues eerily similar to the Exodus account. The sudden abandonment of Avaris, a Semitic city in the Nile Delta, aligns perfectly with the Exodus timeline. But here's what's really wild. The Brooklyn Papyrus 35.1446 lists Semitic slaves in Egypt with names like Issachar, Asher, and Shifra. Those are Hebrew names, folks. In Egyptian records, from the right time period, the tomb of Rekhmire shows Semitic slaves making bricks with straw, then without straw, exactly like Exodus describes. These aren't Christians making stuff up. These are Egyptian records confirming biblical accounts. Now let's talk about Cush. Sudan has more pyramids than Egypt, over 200 of them. The Meroitic kingdom lasted from 800 BC to 350 AD, with a written script we still can't fully decipher. These people were so powerful that when they conquered Egypt as the 25th dynasty, they restored pyramids and temples that Egyptians had let decay. The Victory Stele of Pa shows African features and describes conquering Egypt from the south, exactly as the Bible describes Cushites. The archaeological evidence for Cushite advancement is staggering. They had iron smelting technology that rivaled Rome. Their queens, the Kandakes mentioned in Acts, led armies and governed territories. We found their palaces, temples, and elaborate burial chambers. The gold jewelry and artifacts show craftsmanship that matches anything from Egypt or Greece. These weren't primitive people. They were a superpower. The Phoenicians, coastal Canaanites, left archaeological evidence everywhere, from Spain to Britain, from Sicily to North Africa. Phoenician artifacts and inscriptions pop up constantly. The Ahiram sarcophagus shows the Phoenician alphabet that became the ancestor of every alphabet you've ever seen. Carthage's circular harbor, described by ancient historians as an engineering marvel, has been excavated and confirmed. The child sacrifice sites, Tophets, that the Bible condemns, found, with infant bones and cremation urns, exactly as described. Here's something that just came out. DNA analysis of Canaanite burials from Sidon shows that modern Lebanese people are direct descendants of the Canaanites. They weren't exterminated. They were absorbed and continued. Lebanese Christians today are literally descendants of the people in Genesis 10. Science is confirming what local traditions always claimed. Ugaritic, discovered in 1928, revolutionized biblical studies. These Canaanite texts, from 1400 BC, show their religion in detail, and it's exactly as horrible as the Bible describes. Baal worship, ritual prostitution, child sacrifice. It's all there in their own words. The Baal cycle shows why prophets opposed this deity so strongly. But we also found their libraries, showing they were literate and sophisticated. They were brilliant people with terrible practices. Recent discoveries in Libya are revealing Put's descendants. The Garamantian kingdom in the Sahara built an underground irrigation system called fogaras that allowed them to create an empire in the desert. Their capital, Garama, had populations of 20,000 plus people in the middle of the Sahara. They traded with Rome Egypt, and sub-Saharan Africa. Pliny the Elder described them, and archaeology is proving him right. Marine archaeology is adding another dimension. Phoenician shipwrecks throughout the Mediterranean contain standardized amphoras showing mass production and trade networks. The Uluburun shipwreck, from 1300 BC, contained items from 7 different cultures: African gold, Egyptian glass, Canaanite pottery, Baltic amber. Genesis 10:5 calls them maritime peoples, and boy, were they ever. The Egyptian DNA studies are fascinating. Mummies from different periods show population continuity, with some mixing. They were Northeast African with Middle Eastern contact, exactly what you'd expect from Genesis 10's description of Ham's descendants interacting with Shem's. Modern Egyptians, especially Copts, show genetic continuity with ancient populations. The Arab conquest changed language more than genetics. Here's what all this means. Genesis 10 isn't mythology. It's preserved historical memory that's more accurate than most ancient sources. When the Bible says Ham's sons founded these nations, archaeology keeps confirming it. When it describes their territories, we find them exactly there. When it mentions their practices, we find evidence. The stones aren't just crying out, they're providing receipts. So next time someone says the Bible is just ancient mythology, ask them about the Merneptah Stele. Ask them about Nubian pyramids. Ask them about Phoenician inscriptions. Ask them about DNA studies confirming biblical populations. The evidence isn't hidden in some Christian apologetics vault. It's in mainstream archaeological journals. Secular scientists keep accidentally proving the Bible true. Your action step? Get educated. Read archaeological reports. Visit museums. Look at the evidence yourself. Don't let skeptics intimidate you with "science disproves the Bible" nonsense. Science keeps proving the Bible, and specifically for Ham's descendants. Every shovel full of dirt in Africa and the Middle East reveals civilizations exactly where Genesis 10 says they'd be. The stones are crying out. It's time we started listening. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.